afternoon, friends, and welcome to another episode of the Woldenburn podcast. My name is Emily, and I am so glad that you're here today. I am coming to you from Tennessee in the United States, where I live with my husband and our beautiful little baby boy who is currently napping, so hopefully I can get this episode filmed before he wakes up. Hopefully. How have you all been? It's been a minute since I've been able to film a proper podcast. I believe I filmed either one or two videos since the last one. I know that I just finished uploading my spring-summer knitting plans video, so if you're interested in that and hearing all about it, I have some beautiful yarns that I am planning to knit up into some lovely summer garments, so if you're interested, be sure to go and check that out. But yeah, so I am going to do my best to keep this on the shorter side today. I'm only going to be talking about 2 knitting projects, 1 crochet project, and then one of my planned knitting projects. And then I have some fun yarn excitements. I feel like this is probably too shadowed for you to see, but and then I have a couple of books that we're going to talk about, and just briefly, and then a little bit of a life update at the end. So let's just jump right into it. First off, my festival sweater, which is a pattern by Petite Knit. And I have been working away on this. I've kind of slowed down a little bit. I have officially finished the body of the sweater. And I've tried it on, and it makes me very happy. And actually, I realized that since I've got these needles in the sleeve, I can try it on for you. Let me pop this on so I can show you how it's looking. I'm so happy with it. Hopefully it doesn't mess my hair up too much. Okay, so there we go. That's how it makes me very happy. That is how it is looking. Let me stand up a little bit. So I kept it, I did it a little bit longer than the crop sweaters that I've made in the past, but I kept it still a little bit cropped. So it hits like, this is my natural waist, and it's like just a tiniest bit past that. And that's just so that if I like lift my arms and stuff, it's not gonna mess with it. And then I have just started on the first sleeve. I've definitely slowed down because I'm on the sleeves. With the body, I feel like I got into a really good rhythm. I was just, knitting the regular bits, and then, do I have this on backwards? I think I have it on the right way. There's some short rows in the back. Yeah. So it has this beautiful folded neckline, which I absolutely love. And then it has this fun bobble detail, which is just beautiful. It's probably my favorite part about the sweater. Anyway, as I was saying, I've started working on the sleeves, which has meant that it's taken me a minute to find my rhythm. I have a harder time with, let me take this off first. Okay. I have a harder time with these sort of in-between circumferences because I don't mind doing small circumference knitting with like socks. Like I have no issues with that. And I don't have any problems doing like bigger circumference knitting like a body of a sweater. But it's just this weird like in-between circumferences that are just... I tried using my 12-inch circulars, like a whatever needles, and they're in a weird spot where they're either just a little bit too big or a little bit too small, and they just were not working very well. And the other thing too is that the points on these are not super sharp, and for the bobble row that you do, it's like a knit, yarn over knit, and then you have to like knit through the back loop. So you need a sharper point, or a sharper point makes it easier. So I have these just like clover bamboo needles that I'm using, and they have a nice sharp point that works pretty well for this. The only issue that I have with this one is the cable is not really long enough for doing magic loop, so I'm kind of fudging it a little bit. I think I need to try and see if my in my interchangeable needle set, I think I have a size 6 needle for that one, but I can't remember. I feel like I had one set of tips that I just didn't have, so I may need to see if I can get some. But yeah, so I've only done about like an inch on the sleeve. I've had the body done for a minute, but it is kind of a little bit meh. And I'll get back to it. Well, the other part I was going to say is that it has massively warmed up. Like today, I think it's in the mid-80s Fahrenheit. So a DK wool long-sleeved cozy snuggly sweater is not really what I want to be knitting on at the moment. It's just very warm. So I have been contemplating possibly just putting it down for just a little bit and working on a couple of the summer knitting projects. But I don't know, I'm torn because I just love this project so much. I do think that if I had the longer cable and was able to do the proper magic loop, that it wouldn't be that bad. But so I need to figure something out. But I am using for the yarn, this is the main color is my hand-dyed yarn, and then the contrast color is the Mystery Mouse Yarn Co. in the Fruity and Cogs colorway. And I love how it looks together. It looks amazing. And it's beautiful because the Fruity and Cogs colorway is fingering weight held double, and so it's really interesting because the variegation and stuff like through the stripe, like you'll get like slightly darker patches, and it's just it looks amazing. It's such a beautiful colorway. And I haven't weighed it, but I have this much left, and I just have 2 sleeves, and this is the first skein. I got 2 skeins. It came in sock sets, and I got 2 sock sets just in case, because I wanted to make sure that I had plenty to make this sweater. And now I'm kind of wondering if I'm going to end up having an entire skein left over, which I will not be mad about. I'll either use it in a shawl, or maybe if I can bring myself to make some socks out of something so beautiful, that's what I'll do. But and I don't have very many like official project bags. Most of the project bags that I have are just tote bags, and this is actually a really cute, it's a Christmas bag because I just ended up putting my sweater in here and I just haven't taken it out. It's just a tote bag that I got at a little shop in Chattanooga when we went on our anniversary trip not a couple years ago, 2021. So it is almost a couple years ago actually. But yeah, there's this really, really cute little like vintage, I guess kind of like, you'd think like drugstore sort of a shop. It had like just a bunch of like candles and tote bags and toys and just random like knickknacks. I guess it's like a knick-knacky sort of a store, but it was all like kind of old-fashioned style things, and I absolutely loved the print on this one. So I was trying to figure out what to get while I was there, and I love a good tote bag. I use tote bags for my knitting all the time, and this one's really nice too because it has a little pocket on the inside, and so I just can stick my extra, like my smaller size needle and my row counter in there, and it works amazing. That's project number 1, and then I've actually picked back up my Tanya sweater, which is a pattern by Caitlin Hunter of Boyland Knitworks. I've mentioned this in other videos where I keep going back and forth as to whether or not I want to finish the sweater, but in the meantime I've still been working on it. So I have finally split for the sleeves. It's worked bottom up, so you work this beautiful, sorry, this is my scrap yarn, hold on, let me trim this. I haven't trimmed it because I haven't had scissors handy. Well, now I have scissors handy. So it is worked bottom up. You first work this beautiful, beautiful lace pattern, and then you work miles of stockinette in the round, and until then you split for the sleeves, and then you work the back, and then I think you have to do some bind off for the back neckline, and then work the shoulders a little bit, and then you do the same with the front. So right now I am on the back. I'm working on knitting the back. This is kind of hard to show. I believe this is This isn't the first bottom-up sweater I've made, because I've made the Corbel sweater by Claire of Flossy Knits, and that one's knit bottom-up, but this is probably the second one that I've made. At least this, the first one of this style in fingering weight. So I've knit probably 3 or 4 inches of the back since I split for the sleeves. And I've just kind of been working on this here and there. And I have been working on this a little bit more because I've slowed down on my festival sweater. And sometimes I just want something mindless and simple, because I find that, and I think I mentioned this in my last episode, that when things kind of get stressful and hectic and whatnot, I just want something very, very simple to work on. So the Tugna has been filling that spot for me. And I'm knitting this out of the, I believe it's Fleece Artist Tree Wool yarn, and I got this in a knit crate. And part of the reason why I've been kind of torn on this project is because I'm not positive I'm going to have enough yarn, but I have contacted a couple of people on Ravelry who have some in their stash, and they were willing to sell it to me. So I do have options, but there was one lovely lady who was going to sell me an extra skein or 2 of it, and I just told her, let me get a little bit further on my project just so that I can make sure to find out whether I will need another skein, or if I need 2 skeins. Yeah, so, and I'm knitting that one on my, I have one Chiagu red lace knitting needle, and that's what I'm using, a size 3. And I like it. It's a nice needle, does its job. The thing is that I found that most interchangeable knitting needle sets stop at a US size 4. They don't go any smaller, which is kind of annoying. But like, I kind of get it, because I think you start getting to the point where the knitting needle is so small that it wouldn't work to have the connector at the bottom of it. So that's my second project. And then I have a little bit of an update on my crochet blanket to share with you. It's not going to look terribly different from the last time that I showed it, but I have added on, if you remember from my last episode, I said that I was planning to make another row, both lengthwise and widthwise, of squares, and I have done that, and I've put them in there, and this is what we're looking at. And then I have added 1 round of single crochet all the way around the edge, and I'm kind of thinking that what I want to do is, well, I want to do some sort of cute border around the edge of it, and my plan, I was thinking it would be fun to do like some type of a mushroom border, but I'm still trying to figure out what pattern to use and whatnot. So here we go, and this is made out of the Yarn Bee. I love this, or is it Yarn Bee? No, I think it's just I love this cotton yarn from Hobby Lobby, which is this. And I have, these are the other colors that I have, because this is based off of the mushroom tote bag pattern, and these were the colors that I got for the mushrooms, and this was the color I got for the stalks. What I'm thinking I may end up doing is just doing a few mushrooms throughout, and I was thinking that it would be fun to use this and this to do like little toadstools around the border, but like I said, I have to kind of figure it out. So that is pretty much all I've done. I have a couple of sock projects that I've been working on, but in the interest of trying to keep this shorter, I'm not going to share those today because they're kind of boring. It's the same old, same old. So the last like knitting project thing that I wanted to talk about before we talk about my fun yarn stuff, and then I have a knitting book that I want to talk about, is I've been trying to figure out what colors I'm going to use for my Faucette. The Faucette Crop is a pattern by Devin of Knitting McPurley, and she is hosting the Faucette Along 2023, which is a little a knit along that she's doing for her set pattern. And it's this beautiful like colorwork sweater. It's got like mosaic knitting and stranded colorwork and baubles, and it's lovely. And I had been wanting to make that pattern for some time now. I watch the Mystery Mouse Knitting podcast with Holly, and Holly had shared her set that she made, and I loved it. It looks amazing. It's in her hand-dyed yarn. I believe it's inspired by Mrs. Potts from Beauty and the Beast, and it's just ultimate spring vibes. It looks amazing. So I had been wanting to make it, but I was kind of holding off, and then I watched Devon's most recent podcast episode, and I was like, well, here's the time. Okay. So then I was doing a little bit of a rummage through my stash earlier, trying to figure out what yarn I'm going to use, because I want to try and use stash yarn. And I found that I actually have fewer like individual skeins of yarn than I thought I did. I feel like I've been doing a pretty decent job of using them up. So I only had like some odds and ends sorts of things. But I think the color palette that I'm going to use are these three. And I would use... Okay, so the yellow and the pink are my hand-dyed yarns, and then this blue, the skein is coming undone and I haven't put it back together, is Mystery Mouse Yarn Co. Holly. This is her Watson colorway. I was thinking about doing these probably the pink as color A, the blue as color B because that's the main portion of the body I want to be in blue, and then yellow as color C. So I think that that's what I'm going to do. And these are all fingering weight yarns that I would hold double. But I'm not 100% sure yet, but I have some pretty limited choice options. So this is what I'm planning to go with. I may go ahead and just cast it on and start seeing how it works up. But yeah, so that is going to be started soon because I think the knit along is only running through May 31st, so I will need to get a wiggle on. Okay. That is all of the main like crafty knitting stuff that I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to talk about some of my hand-dyed yarn that I'm going to have for sale on May 1st. This is something that I have been wanting to do for a minute now. It is something that popped into my head a couple months ago, or longer than that I think. And I'm very, very excited to have, let me make sure these are all the right way, actually done it. So I am going to have 4 mini skein sets. This is very limited. These are one of a kind. I did not write down any recipe for these, like very limited edition. This is my, what I'm calling my Red Wall Flowers mini skein collection. And this is what they look like. We've got 5 different colors. These are all 20-gram minis. And I was originally planning to do more like muted, like springy colors, and then this is what came out of the dye pots. So, and I'm actually really happy with it. It's not quite jewel tone, it's not quite pastels, it's sort of that mid-range, and I love it. I love it so much. So, we've got Rosie, we've got Bryony, we've got Lupin, this is Tansy, and this is Cornflower. Or was I gonna do Columbine? These are all based off of characters from the Red Wall series, which is one of my favorite all-time book series by Brian Jakes. And I kind of had this idea when I was listening through to the book, and I was thinking to myself, man, there's a lot of characters in here that are named after flowers. And it hit me. I was like, that would be the most beautiful sock set, or not sock set, mini skein set to have. So I'm very, very excited about it. My plan is I'm going to just do it through Etsy. I was kind of toying with doing it through different things, but I decided to keep it simple, and I'm just going to use Etsy, and I will have them uploaded or available for sale on May 1st because I love May and I love May 1st. I love the old stories and traditions of like the May Day festivals and whatnot. So May 1st is just in the last several years become kind of a special day for me. And so I'm going to upload them, and there will be 4 sets available, and that's it. Like, once they're gone sort of a thing. They're going to be $25, and shipping will be based off of the Etsy shipping calculator. So it'll kind of depend upon where the buyer is located. But yeah, I'm really, really happy and proud of how these turned out. They just make me very happy. I'm thinking, because there would be 5, but I'm keeping 1 set for myself, and I think what I'm going to do is make a pair of socks similar to the socks that Amy of the Noble Character Crafts podcast has been making. I'll see if I can find a picture off of her Instagram or something and pop it up here. They look so beautiful, and I think that this would work really well for that. Another option would be like a granny stitch scrappy shawl thing, or some form of a shawl, mixing it in with a solid skein of yarn and combining it that way. There's just a bunch of different things you could do with it. So I'm very, very happy and proud and really glad to have this. And really quick, I'll just kind of tell you where the characters are from. This is based off of Rosie Woodsorrel, who is a hare. She's a character in Mariella Redwall and The Bellmaker. This is based off of... I keep getting them mixed up. I'm currently listening to the actual, like, the Redwall audiobook. Yes, okay. And there's a character in there called Cornflower. This is based off of Columbine from Mossflower. She's a mouse. Lovely character. This is Bryony, and it is based off of a mouse character in The Outcast of Redwall. This is Lupin. This is based off of a hare in Mossflower. And this is Tansy, who's one of my favorite characters in the whole series, and she's a hedgehog, and she is in Pearls of Latra and The Long Patrol. And The Long Patrol is probably, The Long Patrol and Rackety Pam probably tie for my top favorite 2 Redwall books. So, and I was not intending for this yellow to come out this way. I was intending it for it to be a much brighter color, but it ended up kind of like this almost like antique gold bronzy look, and I love it. I'm kind of sad that I didn't make a recipe for it, because it's like the perfect beautiful yellow color. So that is that, and I will have it up in the shop, like I said, May 1st at 10 a.m. Central. I think it's considered Central Daylight Time. But that will be available in my Etsy shop, and I will have a link to that down below. So stay tuned for that. I hope that you guys are interested and like it. I'm thinking what I might do is, I like the idea of coming up with some different like mini skein collections, possibly some full skein collections, just periodically throughout the year. My kind of goal with doing this is to share pretty yarn with other people, and also as a way to just, I guess, to kind of support my creative hobby, and be a way to kind of bless my family, and yeah, just kind of continue to support my YouTube channel, to continue to support my crafting and my reading and books and all of that sorts of things. My hope with this is, if I'm able to sell all 4 sets, that I will be able to use that money to then buy some more undyed yarn, because I actually used up I think I have 1 more skein of fingering weight yarn that is undyed, so I need to get some more if I want to keep dyeing yarn. So that's my hope, is that if I am able to sell all of these, that I will be able to purchase some more undyed yarn. That is what any money from these sets will go towards. So, enough talking about that. Let's talk about just a little bit of book talk. I'm not going to go into extreme detail. I've actually been reading a decent amount, and I think I haven't been able to knit as much, so I've been reading more. But I'm not going to go too in depth with it, because I've actually, yeah, I've read several books. But I did want to mention briefly that I recently reread Mansfield Park. I was talking with Stephanie of the Texas Peach Knits, and we got talking about our favorite Jane Austens, and she said hers was Mansfield's Park, and that reminded me that I had not read it in quite some time, and I had been meaning to, but I've kind of been struggling a little bit with this, where all my life I have far preferred reading physical books. Since having a baby, it has been increasingly difficult to read physical books, and so I've been reading a lot of stuff on my iPad or my Kindle, honestly mostly on my iPad, and it made me feel weirdly, like not quite guilty, but just a little bit weird to think of reading a book on my iPad if I owned a physical copy. And so it kind of was preventing me from reading several books that I wanted to read really badly. So I told myself, all right, this is nonsensical. This is enough. Read Mansfield Park. You have been wanting to read it for a year or two, or reread it, and just read it already. So I read it, and it was just as lovely and amazing as the previous times that I have read that book. It is such an underrated Jane Austen novel. It is so good. Fanny is such a wonderful character. It can be a little bit, not stressful, but like just a little bit, because Fanny is much more of like a sensitive character, and it's like people are trying to pressure her into doing something that like she knows that will not make her or anybody else happy, and so she has to like stand her ground and be stubborn, which is hard for her because she's a more sensitive character, and it resonates with me in a lot of ways. So I read it so fast. I think I read it in like less than a week. I was just really happy to be reading it. So I read that, and then I have a couple of books from the library that I got. I just finished reading this one, which I really enjoyed. It's called Simple Country Wisdom, 501 Old-Fashioned Ideas to Simplify Your Life by Susan Waggoner. And it's just basically this whole book of just like really practical little tips about how to make your home more homey. And it talks about things like line drying your laundry, and how to like clean your house, and organizing your kitchen, and just, it's really simple and really practical. It has a whole section like on a garden, and it just made me want my own house so desperately badly. I really enjoyed this book. So I'm actually looking into purchasing it, a copy for myself. I found a copy on Abe Books, which is the main place that I go to get used books, for like $5 or $6 or something. So I'm really seriously considering buying it, because it has just a lot of really practical like tips and recommendations for like cleaning that I think it would be really nice to have as a reference book for those things. And it's a really easy read. I really loved it. I read most of it. We ended up going to Fall Creek Falls, which is, I think it's a national park. I'm not 100% sure actually. But it's like a 3-ish hour drive for us. And so I read, Micah drove the whole way there, and then I drove most of the way back. But when he was driving, instead of knitting, I honestly ended up reading most of the time. So there's that. And then this one is a book that I picked up on a whim at the library, and I actually ended up really liking it. And it's called Baby Knits Made Easy. And I don't know who it's by. It just has like the DK up in the corner. Let me see if it says. I think it may be by multiple people or something. And I actually really liked all of the projects in it. They were fairly simple. I will say it did seem like a lot of them were kind of like the worked in pieces sort of projects. So if that's not your thing, this might not be your book. But a lot of the projects were actually things that I was like, I could see myself making, and I could see a little child wearing them. Let's see, like this is just a really sweet little cardigan. Let's see. Oh, I actually really like that. This is a little like ball that you knit, and it's just like in garter stitch. It's a baby jacket. Let me see. I did really like this little vest. I'm trying to think. It just had a bunch of very, like this one, like a classic boys cardigan. And it looks amazing. And most of these I think are in like either fingering weight or DK weight yarn. Let me see. There were also some toys that I really, really liked in here. And look at this sweet little dress. Like, I don't have any girls at the moment, but it's really cute. Here we go, the toy section. Let's see, my favorites. I did like this little bird. That one's kind of funny. There's a little, look at this teddy bear. Is he not so cute? Oh, I really liked the teddy bear and these blocks are really, really interesting. I would love to make some of those for Baby Tam. He would probably love them. But yeah, it just had like a bunch of different like, ooh, and I like this one too. This, they call it a yacht mobile. But it's like little sailboats. I really liked it because a lot of times with baby books, I feel like most of the projects are kind of weird. Like I may or may not actually want them. And this one I was like, for most of the projects, I could see myself making those and I could see a kid wearing them. They were like very practical things. Like here's more toys. And then in the end it has just a bunch of like instructional, like this is how you do the knit stitch, purl stitch, all of that stuff. I thought it was a really, really good book, so I wanted to share that with you. And this is another one that I'm looking at getting for myself because, like I said, I would probably make several of these projects. I'm hoping and anticipating having several children, and I think that it would be really nice to have some of these for them. So that's all. Just a little bit of life chat and life lately. That's kind of what I like to call it rather than life chat or life update, is life lately. So what have we been up to? We had, like I said, we went to Fall Creek Falls. It was really nice. The weather was absolutely perfect. Around the lake at Fall Creek Falls, there's a, if you don't know, Fall Creek Falls is like a national park, I think. And there's a bunch of like waterfalls and there's like trails all over the place. But then around the main lake, there's like a paved trail. And at one point, like Micah and I and Baby and Micah's parents went and we just walked a big section or a section of that lake trail. It was beautiful. It was in the evening. It was cool. Oh, it was really nice. And then at one point I was able to just kind of sit. I actually took a couple of clips. I might pop them in here. I was able to sit on the deck because the cabin that we were in was like right on the lake. Like you could fish off of the back porch if we wanted to. And I just sat there and I had my iPad and I was reading like murder mysteries. And I was working on my crocheted blanket a little bit and it was just breezy and I needed it. It was so nice. Like Micah was watching the baby. I just sat there and relaxed and it was lovely. I enjoyed it so much. So we did that and it was pretty good. By the time we got done and back home, Baby Tam was done with being in his car seat and stroller. He was like, I'm tired of this. It was a little bit rough driving back home because he was just fighting going to sleep. So he was just kind of fussing in the back, poor thing, for like an hour. But we finally got him to go to sleep and whatnot. And we got home and it was good. We popped into the gift store there. There's like a nature center. And we popped into the gift store and I got a t-shirt, which I really like. It's just like a teal blue t-shirt and it says Fall Creek Falls on it. But I'm realizing I love gift stores. They just have so many like fun little like interesting things, and especially if it's like a museum or a like a zoo or something, like they're really like themed sort of knickknacks, and I love it. It's so much fun. So we did that, and then we've been having some beautiful, beautiful weather, much warmer. As you can see, I'm pretty flushed because it's kind of warm. But so I've been taking baby Tam out for walks every day and just really enjoying it. There's a, I also got some footage of this, so I'll pop it in here. There's a lake, or it's not a lake, it's a pond in a neighborhood right by us, like on my walking loop, because I just walk through the neighborhoods. And there's a pond and there's a bunch of ducks, and earlier this week we went and walked and I realized that there's some little duckling, like duck families with a bunch of little ducklings, and oh, it's so cute because I was able to like turn baby Tam's stroller around and be like, look, there's ducks, and he was able to like see them because these ducks seem like they're not afraid at all. I'm sure people feed them or whatnot, and so they would like come right up by you. And then Mike and I, we try and walk every evening after he gets home, and so we went and walked, and that's when I got a really good video clip of like the little ducklings. They were like 2 feet away from me. It was so nice. Yeah, so then I did want to say in May, I am going to be gone for most of the month of May. So I'm not sure if I'll be able to get a podcast episode up. I'm going to try. I'm going to try and see if I can, but I may or may not be able to post really any videos in May, so don't worry, I'm fine. I'm going to be out of town and not have my camera and my computer and everything to make videos. I may try and do some filming to like put a vlog together after the fact, but no promises. Probably not. We will see. But yeah, so that's what I'm anticipating. I have my faux set that I want to cast on. I have some socks that I'm going to be knitting, and doing a little knit along with Stephanie of Texas Peach Knits. Very, very excited about this. And then if you watch my summer plans spring summer knitting plans video, you'll see that I have several other things that I am really looking forward to starting. But yeah, so that's kind of what we've been up to. Nothing too much, and what I have coming up. But yeah, I hope that you all are doing very well. Thank you so much for watching this video, for watching all of my videos and supporting my channel. It means a lot to me, and I really, really appreciate it. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and end things here. I'm super grateful that my baby has not woken up while I've been talking, but I don't want to risk talking for so long and then he does wake up. So thank you for watching, thank you for being here, and I will see you on the next one. Bye!